All right, today we're doing something huge. We're unlocking the code of life itself. We're going to demystify genetics, which is, the science that explains why you are, well, you. And it all starts with that classic question, right? Why do I have my mom's eyes but my dad's nose? Well, the answer is hiding in this incredible biological blueprint that makes every single one of us unique. And today, we're going to learn how to read it. So here's what we've got on tap. We'll kick things off with a genetic blueprint, then see how that code turns into physical traits. After that, we'll get into predicting traits, look at when the rules get a bit weird, read some family histories, and finally tackle how we're rewriting the code. Okay, let's dive right in. First up, life's genetic blueprint. Before we can get to the cool stuff, we really have to get a handle on the basic language of our own biology. So everything, and I mean everything, starts with the gene. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Your body is a massive, complicated instruction manual, and a single gene is just one instruction in that book. Something like, make this person's eye color blue. It's a tiny, tiny piece of DNA, but its job is absolutely crucial. But here's where it gets really interesting. Genes aren't all the same. They come in different flavors or versions, which scientists call alleles. So for that gene for height in a plant, you might have one allele that says, grow tall, and another one that says, stay short. And believe it or not, these alleles kind of have a power struggle going on. Some of them are really bossy. We call those dominant. If a dominant allele is present, it's going to be the one you see, no questions asked. The other ones, the recessive alleles, they're a bit more shy. They only get to show themselves if there's no dominant one there to steal the spotlight. Okay, so we've got this code, these alleles doing their thing, but how does that turn into the stuff we can actually see in the mirror? Let's get into it. This is where we need to get two really important words straight: genotype and phenotype. The genotype, that's the genetic code itself. It's the letters like TT or TT. The phenotype, on the other hand, is the physical thing you actually see. It's the result of that code, like, a tall plant. And this table shows it perfectly. Look at this. That dominant allele is really pulling its weight. A plant can have a TT genotype or a TT genotype, and in both cases, the phenotype is the same. It's tall. The only way you get a short plant is if it has the TT genotype, with two of those recessive alleles. All right, now we get to the really fun part. We've got the basics down, so now we can start playing fortune teller a little bit and actually predict how traits get passed down from parents to kids. And don't worry, it's not just guesswork. There's a method to the madness. It's a simple 5-step process that works like a charm for what scientists call monohybrid crosses. That's just a fancy way of saying we're only looking at one single trait at a time. So let's use a classic example. Can you roll your tongue? Believe it or not, that's a dominant trait. So let's imagine we have a guy who can roll his tongue, and we know he's heterozygous, so his genotype is big T, little t. And he has children with a woman who can't roll her tongue, which means her genotype has to be little t, little t. So when you lay out all the possible combinations, what scientists do with something called a Punnett square, the prediction is crystal clear. Their kids have a 50% chance of being a tongue roller and a 50% chance of not being one. It's all just a game of probability. But, just when you think you've got it all figured out, biology throws a curveball. It's not always this simple. Sometimes the rules get, complicated. Take incomplete dominance, for example. This is when the two alleles kind of blend. Think of a red flower and a white flower having a baby, and you get a pink flower. Then there's codominance. This is where both alleles show up to the party. So that red and white flower cross would give you a flower with both red and white patches on it. Both traits are expressed equally. And then you've got sex-linked traits. These are traits that hitch a ride on our sex chromosomes, the X and the Y. This is the reason why conditions like hemophilia or colorblindness are way more common in men. See, men have an X and a Y chromosome. If they get a recessive allele for one of these conditions on their one X chromosome, there's no other X chromosome with a dominant allele to cover it up. It's a direct line to the trait. Okay, so we've talked about predicting the future, but what about looking into the past? Turns out we can do that too. We can basically become genetic detectives, working backwards to solve the mystery of a family's genetic story. And the main tool for this job is called a pedigree diagram. You probably know it better as a family tree. Scientists use these to track how specific traits, Anything from simple eye color to a serious genetic disorder get passed down through a family, generation after generation. And they're surprisingly easy to read once you know the code. A square is a male, a circle is a female. If the shape is shaded in, that person has the trait we're studying. By following these simple symbols, we can map out a family's genetic history, figure out their genotypes, and even make some solid predictions for future kids. All of this brings us right up to today, into the modern age of genetics, because we're now in an era where we aren't just reading the code of life, we are actively learning how to rewrite it. And this incredible and kind of scary power is called genetic engineering. We've moved way beyond just reading the instruction manual. Now we're taking a red pen and actively editing it, changing genes, moving them around to completely change the final product. I mean, the possibilities are just mind-boggling. We're talking about cheaper medicines that save lives, crops that can survive a drought and feed millions, maybe even getting rid of pests for good. But there's always a but, right? The risks are huge too. It's expensive, we don't know about potential health problems down the road, and honestly, we have no idea what the long-term effects could be. It raises some massive ethical questions. And you know, this quote really brings it all home. Change, a mutation, is a totally natural part of genetics. It happens all the time on its own. The big difference now is that we're the ones causing the change on purpose. And that leads us to the biggest question of all. So that's where we are. We can read the code, we can write the code. The question we're left with is, what's next? And honestly, the answer to that question isn't just going to define our future, it could define the future of life itself.